and welcome to another episode of More Than Dice. I'm John.
Wait, that's not right.
I'm Gonzo. John's on his way back. That is Kathy right below me. Welcome to episode 161. Yay! I remembered it this time.
161. I can hardly believe it.
Baydon says he's having problems picking out an Age of Sigmar army. Can't help you there, buddy. I don't have one anymore. Mine went poof into the great void.
Trying to pick out an Age of Sigmar army.
I would say that if I was going to go for another Age of Sigmar army, I would probably go somewhere with the lowest model count that I could get.
And I'm John.
You're already late.
So, ogres?
Probably ogres. Let's go and get the business out of the way. We want to thank, we are a creature caster, by the way, where we do at times paint creature caster models. I will probably be doing some painting on those pretty soon because of Judgment models coming up from them pretty soon. So you'll probably see me paint some of those. We want to thank Tectonic Craft Studios. By the way, Dan is now Twitch streaming. I should have told him to come by so we can give him a shout out. But he is Twitch streaming. Captain Minzy, can you find his Twitch stream link and kind of post that up so you can follow him? He decided to do some Twitch streaming on his stuff that he makes, painting and building. So take follow and give him a listen. Also, we want to thank, of course, Metalhead Minis. Everybody knows Lynn. We love her to death. She's hosting a lot of our stuff so we can sell it and try to get a little bit of money back to help us out. To defer costs and such. We also want to thank Muson Minis. They help us distribute out our files and our audios for everybody to hear, which, by the way, we have a ton of things. We are a multi-platform, multi-everything stream now. Not only do we do a podcast on Sunday, but Kathy streams Tuesday through Thursday on painting, but also on Friday she reads from a book and you get to listen to a story. Kathy, what story are you reading right now? Which Conan book are you on?
I am reading a story of Conan the Cimmerian, otherwise known as Conan the Barbarian, and it is called The Hour of the Dragon by Robert E. Howard, originally published in 5 issues of Weird Tales magazine, and in 1935 and 1936. So we're on chapter...
So what, your grandma was in her teens that came out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, when you frame it like that, it's that's crazy because I can't imagine my grandma ever reading anything like that because it's so, like the one I read before this one, The People of the Black Circle, was very risque. This one actually, it might have more violence, but it has a little bit less of the risque stuff about it so far, but this is a longer story. This is a longer book, so there's plenty of time for that to happen.
Yes.
Later. But yeah, they're just as cheesy as you would imagine they would be. That's why Friday is Pulp Fiction Friday. That's why they call it Pulp Fiction. It's, it's cheesy. So I've read some Lovecraft, and I've read an earlier Conan adventure, and now I've got another Conan adventure, and I'm sure I'll find some more. These are all fair use, so there isn't anything that is... How surprised would I be if my grandma was a fan of Conan? I'd be incredibly surprised. I do know she's a fan of Red Skelton, though. Which is a completely different thing.
I know how you made the connection, but fair.
Yeah. then also, John on Mondays streams MechWarrior Online, where he gets to blow up a bunch of robots and yell at things.
Not so much yelling. I tried to get salty. I blew up some robots.
Blow up big robots. And on top of all of that, I do 2 RPG streams. Not technically streams, records, and we release them on all of our audio feeds. So everybody can hear what we're doing. I'm running one campaign, which is a 5th edition, the Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and it's actually a lot of fun, and it is super goofy, super fun, super silly, and it's gotten a little out of hand quite quickly, but quite greatly
Isn't
entertaining.
that every RPG though?
Yeah, this one is definitely, well, like the 2 games that I play, the Dragon Heist I run it with a couple of old friends that I used to do D&D with back in the early 90s. And we reconnected and we wanted to do this. And Captain Mizzy and some new friends, Damon from the Minority Report podcast. And it is pretty funny of what's going on. And then the other one I play in is run by Becca, and it is the Rime of the Frost Maiden. And it's a bit more serious type thing. A little less, silliness, but starting on spring break, I will be releasing episodes of the what we're calling Gangs of Waterdeep campaign, which is going to be focusing all around Waterdeep and all of that type of thing. So we'll be releasing those. The Rime of the Frost Maidens are already released, so that's out there. So we have a ton of things for y'all to listen to, watch. Not only 2 other podcasts that like to distribute through us. So if you think there's something you want to see or hear, let us know. We probably either have it or we'll try to find and do it. Or if there's a movie you want us all 3 to review at the same time, let us know, because we'll definitely try to do that too.
Yeah, so far we haven't got anybody to request any movie that they want all 3 of us to watch and talk about.
Correct.
And that's like, yeah, I think that would be interesting.
I think the last one we all did at the same time was Gonzo's favorite movie.
What, Ready Player One?
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. So
I'll make right. Not only have I seen Megaforce, I've seen Megaforce. I've seen the Rift-Trap version of Megaforce. I own Megaforce.
Megaforce is on my
man.
list. That's
Man.
one of the movies that I will soon be watching.
is that easily
That's like
accessible for
I
all to
have
watch?
that in my that's a browser tab I have open so that I remember it too.
I mean, Gonzo, it's easy accessible for me because I own it. I mean, it's Megaforce. You don't own Megaforce? What's wrong with you?
Don't own Megaforce, sorry.
1 second. Let us see. I can only check certain things.
That is.
It's not free. I mean, so the Rift-Trap version's free on Amazon Prime, but the
Meatcrate
regular
says
version's $3 to rent.
$1.99 on the Amazon. On it, what, like to buy the DVD or to rent the?
It's $30 on Blu-ray. Holy shit!
Oh my god.
No, I see it $2.99, but it's still not much.
All right, who
I can
said?
do that.
Oh god, Condor Man.
Oh man, that's an oldie. Okay, so let's see. We do Megaforce.
I mean, okay.
All right, so can we all get Megaforce watched by Sunday?
By next week? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
All right, Megaforce it is. We will watch Megaforce and give it our specific rating next Sunday. That yes. All right, well, let's go and switch over to the paint cam because I am going to be doing some
I
painting.
think we skipped something, Gonzo. 'cause
Oh wait,
you know.
we did. We went on and rambled and just went crazy. Let's go and go with our drinks,
It's the
Kathy.
post ramble.
Kathy, what are you drinking today?
Right in my hand right now is ginger tea.
And what else are you going to be drinking later?
I have gin and tonic next to me. and water.
And water.
But yeah, I'm enjoying my ginger tea right now.
Okay. John, what are you drinking today?
I have a dark and stormy.
Which is give us a anytime you give us a drink, you got to give us what's in it. If it's not like gin and tonic.
I mean,
Well, that's pretty
I've
much
had a
all that's
million
in
of
it.
them. But
Yeah.
yes, it's Kraken rum, some lime juice, which I do not suggest smelling the bottle of it. That's not bueno. And then it is ginger beer on top of that.
You drank it before, so how much of what's the mixing ratio?
Oh, you want the ratio? I do
Yeah.
3 ounces of rum, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, and then a full 12-ounce ginger beer. But that's because I make a large size
You
one.
make a mug.
Yeah, and the lime's sort of to taste. You know, you don't want to go too much with it because it'll sometimes overpower, and you don't want that.
I am drinking good old fashioned water today. I just needed to get some good water in me today because I feel like I'm a little dehydrated, and so I'm gonna do it. Do we have any shout outs? Any?
I'm pretty sure Captain Busy sent you one.
There was Captain Mizzy did send me. There was a member of the Stargate, Cliff Simon. Cliff Simon, he was on Stargate. He played ball. He passed away in a freak accident with the parasail gliding or whatever. Just this last week. It was just kind of weird. But yeah, it was like a kiteboarding accident. And he passed away. Yeah, and Marvelous Haggard, I think is what it was that passed away.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
I haven't seen.
yeah, I think that just came by like yesterday or today.
Let me take a look here. Sorry, there's actually a lot of. I mean, there's always a lot when you go on to. Yeah, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, the boxer.
Yeah, he passed away recently.
That's too bad. I'm just taking a quick look here.
That was the only ones I know that came up quickly.
Yeah, I don't see anything else, but again, I'm just taking a quick exploded view of these, looking for. But in any case, to them and to everyone who passed.
Well,
Cheers.
cheers.
Oh.
You know what? We need another toast to somebody who's an acquaintance of mine that I knew on the Ren Fair circuit, on the Renaissance Festival circuit, years ago when I was on the road, and he had been a performer up till recently for years and years, and he had a show called The Dead Bob Show, and his name is Clark Orwick. And I did know him, but we weren't super close. I haven't seen him in 25 years, but he passed away this week, and there's a whole world of Ren Fair friends of mine who are grieving too. So, Clark.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, Phoenix Paper. Welcome to the channel. Okay. Y'all are almost ready to catch up on Kathy having to read a chapter. You can stop donating to Stop Being Weird with Gonzo because that's going to be canceled and we'll refund all those points. But Kathy's in on, and you can just spend all those on John on his community challenge. That would be really good.
False and false.
Canceling Gonzo.
Now you only got 14% left, Gonzo.
Shush. Kathy's only got like 2.
It wouldn't take effect until next week.
I know. Let's go and switch over to the paint cam because I wanted to talk about something. So this is the model I'm going to be painting. Da, 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 da. I love this model. He looks like a badass. But if y'all remember, we started and I didn't get to finish because, you know, it's kind of me type thing. But I started working on this model. Let me get my glasses on and rotate camera. I started working on this model, and I really like the way that the armor came out on this.
Yeah.
Because it was just the simple dry brush and then using a liquid brown for the rust and going with it. And then dry brushing back over. Then we started to do the glow. And I was testing and like, okay, yeah. Started working.
Got the glow.
The glow. Because he's the
Showing
last
up.
dragon. So I wanted to work and do the same thing on this model. So on this model, I'm going to dry brush the entire metal. And the armor plating, I'm going to put rust on it on every bit except for the chainmail. The chainmail, I want to kind of leave it a little bit bright compared to everything else because the smoky cloud cloak, whatever you want to call it, is going to be black, and I'm going to be using the Pro Acryl black on here because it is very, very dull, and it looks really, really good. Just pure black.
Gonzo,
Yep.
Beanion would like to know where these models are from.
It's gonna be funny. Go ahead, tell him.
These models are from Privateer Press. This is the Infernal models. This is Osmodus, or however you pronounce it. But this model, one of the things I'm going to do is I did get, is this it? Yeah, I did get the Reaper Clears in, and I am going to use, on the basic one, if you can click the what is it, the inside the coils of the cloak and the divots is like red, and it's like more red down here, and then everything. But I want to do purple. So I'm going to use the Reaper Clear purple in it. So that's where we're going to get the glow and kind of creepy things, because I'm going to just put a little bit of white inside there. So the first thing I got to do is I need to touch up a little bit of black, because while the big part of this model is resin, the top part is metal, and I kind of scratched it up a little bit today on accident. So I'm just going to put a little bit of black on.
Resin and metal?
Yes. The bottom half,
Welcome to
where I'm
Privateer Press.
is resin, because it's a huge chunk of resin. The top part is metal. The arm and the weights, flails, I guess you want to call it, are metal.
Yeah, I wouldn't want those flails and resin because those fuckers are break.
Yeah. And that's kind of pretty much what they did.
I mean, they might have metal too, but it would take a lot of back and forth.
Yeah. So I did purchase a entire, if you didn't follow me on Facebook or whatever, I did pick up a large, I wouldn't say pick it up, Infernal Army, pretty much the entire faction, with some multiples this last week, because I'm getting ready to start being able to go back and play a few games. The game is going to be played tournaments, and it's going to be just small tournaments, which the store does social distancing and limits the game space and everything else. So it's going to be, not too bad. Masks are required, blah, 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 type thing. So I wanted to start playing with a new faction. And the new faction I went with was, of course, Infernals, because Kathy would like Infernals because they have a lot of demon creatures.
I like demons.
They have some really cool looking demons. You would like the models. They look pretty neat.
It does look like fun.
Yeah, they're really cool looking. I like them a lot. I like the aesthetic of them.
Well, Legionnaires, Gonzo actually had a bunch of credit from getting rid of other stuff, so he's just turning stuff into different stuff.
Yeah, for everybody to know, last week I went to their game store and I traded in a ton of things and used my store credit to purchase this stuff.
Yeah.
I've been a long time contributor, buyer, purchaser, helper out, whatever you want to say for this game.
It's a circle of stuff.
Yeah.
You get stuff, use some of the stuff. The stuff you don't use, you eventually give to the store for different stuff.
Yeah. And it's easier because then the store makes money off of my stuff that I'm no longer using, but I get to get stuff without having to spend any of my own personal money. Plus, it's always good because almost a lot of the used stuff, that's like a big profit margin for them. Because
Captain Mizzy, that is rude.
what?
Says he didn't even gift me anything for helping him carry all his stuff in.
Whatever. She didn't pay me for gas to drive out there, so how about that?
Pay you for gas to drive your stuff up there?
She rode up with me. She didn't even buy me lunch for like being nice and letting her ride in the front seat instead of forcing her in the back.
She's totally gonna whoop your ass. I want you to know that. You might want to make sure your doors are locked properly. I don't know. Just coming into the wall like Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
So what I did is I've been debating it and thinking about it for the last few months or so. I have a lot of stuff that I just never played with, or that I didn't play enough for me to hold on to it, and it was a lot. I mean, I had 100 semi-board games type thing, so I mean,
I'm gonna say that's at least 5 times how many I have.
Yeah.
Possibly
Yeah.
closer to 10 times. I don't own a lot of board games, but
yeah. Well, the
locally,
thing is some of them, a lot of them, I never paid for because anytime I go to a tournament, I would, and I won, a raffle or the prize pool or whatever. I would just, use that store credit and buy, another board game. And I did keep some of them, not all of them. And so I got rid of most of my collection and, turned all that collection into store credit.
Yeah, stuff and other stuff. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been doing that with old GW stuff for a while, Occasionally someone's like, oh my god, I need catechins. I'm like, I got catechins. You want some catechins? And I get a good deal. I gave them a great deal because I got it from Games Workshop at prices so low you guys don't want to hear about them.
Yeah. Because, I traded in a couple of armies that I don't play anymore. Like, I got rid of all my Age of Sigmar because no one around here plays Age of Sigmar anymore. Traded in 2 of my 40k armies because I don't see myself having more than one 40k army.
Yeah, I do, but only because I get overexcited.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That's one of my faults in that is I get overexcited and suddenly, I not only have the army I want to play, I've got these cool Deathwatch models because I always used to love them back in the day, and now I got a ton of Deathwatch.
So I'm thinning the herd, as to say, and just only play with, I have my Khador, I have my Night Watch, I have my Necrons, I have my Grimkins, I have the Infernal Army because it's a small army, so I don't have you're not buying multiples of a lot of things. And there's not going to be a lot of releases for it, so I'm not too worried about it. So it was all good. It was cleaning out the closet.
Legionnaires says I've got to try to flip my 4th Ed Tyrannid starter army.
Yep.
Wait, 4th edition? Hold on. That's a while ago.
Yep.
I think that ship sailed. That Hive fleet sailed. Just like my Space Marines from 4th Ed, my Dark Angels, they're completely obsolete.
I look at stuff and I'm like, if someone ever said like, oh, hey, I want like a Retribution army, I'm like, I got a Retribution army. I got you covered, dog. Even though that army's been around so much, might as well be a venereal disease for Christ's sake. But, I don't go out of my way. I don't need to get rid of it. It's not taking up an overabundance of space. I've gotten rid of so much GW stuff it defies description.
Well, see, I also got rid of a bunch of role-playing games, too, because I was like, I've got my use out of them. I got what I want. I got the information. I'm happy. And I just got rid of a bunch of RPGs.
We might go to more stuff when Bailey and I clean up and start setting stuff up so we can game more and all that. And I really think with the amount of alcohol stuff we're getting, we might need a bar. Top of the fridge is getting kind of full.
Been there, done that.
Yes, the spring and summer will be the great cleaning.
The cleaning.
But yeah, I mean, because I got a table we can fold out, we can play.
I kept my
So,
Marvel
I mean-
Crisis, so I mean, there's that.
Yeah, we can play that. He's also got Legion. He's got Infinity. He's got 40K. We got a bunch of stuff we can play.
Right.
Coming up with a game to play will not be a problem. He's also got Armada and X-Wing, even though, X-Wing's fun, but...
X-Wing to me is just a good, quick, and you can have fun with it and you're done.
Yeah, every time we play it, though, it just still seems flawed. Do you get... I'm not like, oh my god, this thing's broken. Just like, it's not quite there. I don't know, maybe it's just because the way we're playing, it always feels not quite there.
All right, so now I'm just going to go and do the simple dry brush, make it quick and easy. I'm going to do it. I'm using Army Painter's Plate Mail, I think is what it is.
Use the metallic of your choice. I actually prefer, what the hell is the company? One second.
Scale 75.
Thank you. Scale 75 black metal.
Don't
That's
know
my
it.
debate.
So,
Because it's, and get on that shit.
maybe I can use
'Cause
my
it's
store
really
credit for
good.
something.
It's a good, very dark metal, so your base is... if you look like what Gonzo's painting is not terribly dark, is not bright to begin with, but it's darker than that. It's just a good base. It gives you
Yeah.
also having multiple different tones of just generic metal makes things so much easier. That way,
Yes.
sometimes you don't need to wash it. And boy, because sometimes those washes come out weird. Being able to just actually highlight the metal up is great.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've always painted non-metallic metal. That's kind of how I started back in the early days because I drew my inspiration from Confrontation minis and their catalog, and they did some incredible watercolor style painting. It was this French company. They had all these French artists painting their models, and they
God,
were
yeah.
beautiful. And at the time, that's what I aspired to. So that's the direction in which I approached my non-metallic metals, all my metals. So I didn't really know how to paint with metallic paints.
Which is a funny statement to hear, but I know what you mean.
And it's actually from watching Gonzo paint with the metallics that gave me a better idea of how to approach painting with metallics.
Metallics are easy to do okay, but they are really tough to do great. Like, you can get to that, oh, that's fine level real quick, but to get like, holy shit, that's amazing, you need to really work on that.
I feel like to get to holy shit, that's amazing. You need to know as much as anybody who paints non-metallic metal.
Absolutely. I agree. Like the joke that metals are easy to paint, yeah, like I said, to the point, but to master, they're just as hard as non-metallic metals, really.
Yeah.
And see, like, a lot of people will paint it on like you would normally paint a normal paint of metallics. Use it, just put it in there, and then you highlight it and wash it and so on and so forth. And to me, I don't like that look. It doesn't look, I know it's kind of weird, natural in the sense, because it's, I like the undercoating and I like the blackness that comes through from dry brushing metal. I think it gives it more of a realistic feel, in my opinion.
Makroid says if you're painting entire 2,000 plus point armies, NMM becomes difficult. But I'll tell you, I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that. My husband's done that. And because we just have always painted NMM, it's it's really no different for us. But if you're going with the, I just want to paint a tabletop quality and get them out on the table to play,
Hmm.
now that's a whole different process. And
Well,
doing this just a quick, dry brush like this is gonna give you a really nice look, and it's gonna take much less time. So,
oh yeah,
you know,
and like
that's for
um,
sure.
paint something like, let's say, like a Gondor army, something that strikes me as being very metal all the way around. You can do that quickly with that, and then just a little bit of touch-ups on top of it. So where non-metallic metal feels to me like it would take a lot longer to get to the same point. But then again, you guys have been doing it the whole time, so it's second nature.
Yeah. It's
Right
just a, it's
matter.
just a matter of what you're used to. And we're just watching Gonzo paint
I
dry
mean,
brush. What kind of a brush are you using for that dry brush, Gonzo? I
This is
always
an
get asked that.
Army Painter
up.
hobby dry brush.
That one's been used a lot down a little
Yes.
bit.
Yeah,
Um,
this is one of my dry brush brushes. I mean, because I don't care. I like the bristles to be all kind of out and flayed because it gets into the cracks really well that I need to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
in.
When you're doing that, because actually,
Yeah.
funny dry brushing, you don't want stuff in the crack. That's sort of the point. But
Yeah.
when you're just putting like a what would you call that? A light base coat or a heavy brush? I wouldn't call it a heavy dry brush, but when you're putting that on, I mean, it's fine. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you want the paint to just skip over the top areas.
Yeah.
And it already looks good. See,
Yeah.
this is and then doing that touch of rust on the other one like you did, just it really adds weight.
Yeah, a little bit of rust, a little bit of maybe other color here or there, and then that cloak, and that model's
Bob's your uncle.
absolutely tabletop.
Yeah, I mean, so what I'm going to do with it now is I'm going to do a quick wash with it, just to kind of get the black back down in it, and then I'll go back with the rust and then dry brush over it again. But while I'm waiting for the
I
quick,
would do the cloak first because you wanted the base coat on, so you see where it messes up, sort of.
well, I'm gonna have to do the cloak next, the cloak last, because I'm gonna do another dry brush over the rust because I know I'm gonna mess up.
Or
And
use an actual dry brush for that, and just contain it to the points where you need it. You should be fine. There is very few points I see where the actual flat metal where you put rust is directly adjacent to the cloak. It's mostly the chainmail, which you said you weren't going to put rust on, so it should be fine.
correct, but
So
knowing me, I'll fuck it up.
after you do the rust, when you do your second dry brush, are you
Uh-huh.
going to use a slightly lighter color?
Yes, I will use a mix of the shiny silver and the black, and just kind of elevate it up just a little bit.
Okay.
Not leave it, the same because it's supposed to be a little just worn on the highlights of that. I guess you want to say.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit
Worn
worn.
and or polished a bit.
Yeah.
Well, sharp because that's where it gets the most wear on it, so it's going to be shinier there.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of Null oil, quick over it. I did
Well,
link
what
to a
would we do
picture.
if we didn't have like Nuln oil and shit? I'd have stopped painting. I ain't gonna lie. Fuck, it'd be too difficult for everything.
Is
Null
it
and oil
glossy
and
null
get
oil or
Agrax?
regular null oil?
Regular Null oil. I don't even know if I have a glossy Null. I think I do. I just don't know where it's at.
I don't think I would gloss it. I would wait till the end, and if I wanted to gloss it, I would hit it with gloss varnish when you varnish it. But I varnish my hands, so it's a lot easier for me to do that. What is Nuln oil? It's actually a black wash.
Here it is. Here it is, paint
Null
cut.
oil.
See,
I have
actually-
null oil in my hand.
Yeah, it's just a black, very liquidy.
And Banyan, it's actually technically Agrax Earthshade or Devlin Mud is Liquid Talent.
Yeah, Null oil
Because
is
you
really good for.
literally paint the whole model and then put the whole thing in Agrax, Ursator, or Devlin Mud, and your model will look fine and perfectly for tabletop. It's like the old Minwax. Just GW's like, oh no more of that Minwax shit. Use our washes, and everyone was like, okay. Yep, that's a big bottle of Nuln Oil. Nuln Oil. Jesus, that does not come off the tongue well.
But I mean, just using
This
it just to add a little bit
Oh.
of depth.
Commandus, Minwax is literally like wax you would put on wood to stain it.
It's a brand. It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
brand
brand.
name of wood stain.
And
It
then
was-
Army Painter made a dip, because I have some.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal in the mid 2000s. There were a lot of armies painted like that. It's where I learned that who cares what technique they're using? There's no right and wrong way for a model, you know. You know, if it's painted, they put the work in. Who cares? They just painted the basic colors and put that shit in Minwax. Does it work? Works. Job's a good one.
I did strip some ogres. I had some metal ogre man-eaters that I got from a friend of mine who did. He loved the dip technique where he would paint something
I should do
like
that.
rotting flesh color. Like that's the Games Workshop light greenish color.
Yeah, I love that color.
And I always liked that color too. But he would paint the whole thing in that color and then just dip it in a brown Minwax. And frankly, they looked like poop.
Yeah,
So I bought them off of him for next to nothing because he just wanted to get rid of them and strip them. And you know, I have said I don't usually strip models,
but
but when you do a Minwax dip, if you can't paint over that. I mean, you could,
It would just be a
but
pain
that
in the ass.
that Minwax liquid gets in the crevices. So if I were to paint over it, it would obliterate a lot of
Yeah.
the details.
yeah,
So I had to strip them.
yeah. Honestly, making washes that could do that was one of GW's best moves because it upped everyone's game and made it so they didn't have to use something out of the industry, let's say, to do it and end up sticky like Legionnaires has had a problem with. You know, it again, right tool for the right job at this point. It became the right tool for the right job. And Banyan, when you're painting hundreds of skeletons, you don't need to min-wax them. You can just wash them. Actually, I did 100 skeletons old school where I would, you paint them brown, you dry brush them white, you wash the white in a sort of yellowish brown or a black or whatever you want, and then you dry brush it back up with a little bit of bone and a little bit of white.
I feel like with skeletons, though, if you're just doing like white or off-white and you dip them, that's something that would work because skeletons just have that shape that
Yeah.
Oh,
works
yeah.
well with it. Just like when people started using contrast paints, they realized that things that have a lot of little organic details, the contrast paints work much better on those than
Mhm.
things that have large, flat, or broad surfaces.
I would totally contrast paint them to begin with now. Well, the point I was making is that it doesn't take long to do all that.
Right.
Like
right.
literally a base coat, a wash, a dry brush, maybe another light dry brush. That's with the drying time for Minwax, you're probably in about the same time. And sure, it's quote unquote easier, but not if you ever need to go back and do something. If your skill's up and you want to make them look a little bit better, that Minwax becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually the Minwax takes a lot longer to dry because and it gets really tacky if you don't get it off enough.
Use the word sticky. Legionnaires made sure that was abundantly clear in the chat room.
Yeah.
Sticky.
Sticky.
Sticker.
And I don't blame him for not painting after that for a while. I never actually, even not being Mojo painter myself, I never Minwaxed. It didn't feel, it didn't feel like a painting technique, but also I didn't necessarily like the way it looked, And that's saying something coming from, mid 90s or mid 2000s, John.
Oh, another thing I'm going to do with this is after, I've got the metal, after I've got it painted and everything, I'm going to do a snow base. Going to do, like the base is going to be brown or gray and dry brush up a little bit of white and everything. But I bought that green stuff frosting.
Frosting.
I want a cupcake. Thanks, Gonzo.
frosting.
Oh, cream cheese frosting.
Maybe regular frosting.
And I
Maybe
want to
cream
put that
cheese
on the bottom.
frosting.
So I want to try that. I'm going to try it on my yak, test it out on my Yak Monk, and then if I like the
Sprinkle.
way it looks, I'll do it on this model.
So I think I missed what color his robe is going to be. Is it just going to be black, or are you doing other stuff? Will there be
Purple.
object source
It's going to be an
lighting?
purple.
Inside the folds are going to be purple. Someone type what is it, and if you click on that, Kathy, you can see the
Okay.
picture of how they do like a glowing black, you know, the red.
Oh, I see.
And so I'm going to do purple instead of red.
So they're doing that same flame technique that I talk about, where you start really light in the crevices, and then that's what gives it that glowy feel to it.
So while I'm waiting for that non-ola to dry,
That's going to be really cool.
and I like the purple because I kind of tested it out, the Reaper purple, to be see if it was a color of purple I like. I don't like the real dark one.
Will you be painting white into the crevices so that the purple is bright enough?
Oh yeah. I'm going to try using that ink, that white ink I have, and using that to go in there.
Do you have fluorescent paint, like pink?
I do have fluorescent colors, yeah.
Because I feel like if you mix a little fluorescent pink with that purple, that's going to make it even go brighter, more intense.
That sounds awesome, actually. I'm not gonna lie.
Once I get
and it won't look fluorescent, but it'll just lend this sort of intensity to that purple color.
Yeah, it takes a lot, actually, I think, to make some of those fluorescent colors actually look fluorescent. You have to do a bunch of coats, but they're pretty cool. I use some on some of my AdMech.
How about this?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the pink you're talking about.
There's some pink like that, because that fluorescent pink doesn't have any white pigment, so it's not going to make your color. It's not going to really change the value of your color. It's not going to make it lighter.
Man,
it will definitely punch up the intensity.
Mine is definitely settled. Look at that, all on one side.
Oh, they do that too.
Yeah, that one I shook up before I showed it on the camera because I was like, oh, this is actually.
Oh, it's probably going to need a ball bearing before I use it again. That's fine. I think I need to change how I store my paints because they're all stored on their side. Cookie Mantis, I have 2 paint shakers. I call it right and left.
Yeah, me too.
It's not a bad tool, and especially good if you have any sort of problem with an elbow or something would stop you from doing this. Legionnaires had this discussion, I think, Monday, and I have no problem with them, but I am not going to spend my limited funds on that.
I have a paint shaker, and it's just one that you put in, and then you hit the button, and it does its thing, and I find that I don't use it. I didn't pay a lot for it, so I wasn't, too worried about it, but I don't use it as much.
If I painted more seriously, I probably would.
I won a paint shaker for some prize support at Adepticon one year, and I don't remember who made it, but when it had a band, and you're supposed to fit the jar in this band, this like rubber band or whatever, and then you turn it on and it shakes it back and forth. And my paint flew out of this thing across the room. And I said...
You're like, F this.
Yeah. I didn't use it.
So here is my...
I gave it to somebody else.
My counter for paint shakers. Just get some of these. At retail price in, the premier packaging like this.
You want the kind that aren't going to rust.
Yeah, well, this is from... This is from MIG Games, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
This was $4, and I've used them for 2 years, and you can see I still have a bunch left.
You can use glass beads. I've seen
Glass
people
beads?
use glass beads. You can use Jim actually just uses pieces of metal sprues off of or bits off of metal models that he has to cut the bases off.
Mm-hmm.
And that works too. But yeah,
there's plenty of things just to look on there. Like honestly, especially if you end up changing your bottles, like I know some people, there's these new caps that fit on GW bottles that make them dropper, which is super cool. I'm not sure I want to buy a bunch of them because that's a lot of money potentially. But when they show it, when they do it, they take it off. They put one glass bead or a stainless steel ball bearing in there. They put the new topper on, shake it up, gets it nice, and it's not a bad idea, especially if you end up changing your paint pots to dropper bottles, which a lot of people are starting to do.
I've seen people also, and this is something I did with Games Workshop stuff, is I would take the back of a paintbrush, the back end of a paintbrush, and just stir my paint up that way. And that worked really well.
Well, I mean, I got toothpicks for that.
And that works too.
And a lot of these things are really cheap. I mean, you think about all the $4 for all those ball bearings, and I put them in a bunch of bottles for last 2 or 3 years, and I'm still got a bunch. Toothpicks are stupid cheap. There's a lot of things.
Oh no, Cookie says my buddy learned that the hard way. He bought BBs, and all his paints had rust. Oh yeah, I've heard stories about that. But yeah, I just use my hands to shake paints and try not to make it look like I'm doing something dirty on stream or having a seizure.
Fair. But yeah, there's lots of little tips like that for paints. I mean, I could see getting it, like that's one of those things where you get like the dream job or the financial windfall or whatever. Getting a proper paint shaker and all would be on the list. Or if I painted more seriously, definitely on the list.
I've seen some very inventive homemade paint shakers.
I would probably go with a professional one, but it would have to hold Vallejo bottles. Vallejo bottles or GTFO.
Oh, yeah. But still, toothpicks or you need the back end of a paintbrush, because I have a million crappy useless paintbrushes.
I don't throw away too many paintbrushes.
Yeah, lying around here. So
I have one that has like 3 bristles left to the front, and I'm like, it's still got the back end useful.
When I had long hair, I would use them to put my hair up in a bun. So yeah. My hair is getting longer too now, and it's weird because for a couple years I've had it nice and short. I had a little bob, and I haven't gone to a hair cutter, a barber,
beautician.
That seems like a unnecessary risk to me.
Yeah, so.
I mean, that's why I've been cutting my own hair. I haven't in a bit. Probably have to do it soon. I found out.
I could cut my own hair, a la John.
Yeah, maybe not so much a la John. Maybe a la someone competent.
Just whack it off, weed whacker style.
I mean, I've got a razor electric razor that does it. I mean, it is not as hard as I thought, but nor is it actually easy. But I'll be honest, I won't be paying for a lot of haircuts anymore. When I get a buzz the number 2, I can do that at home. It's not hard.
Legionnaire says, I just saw the Jigsaw clamp maker shaker. Considering I already own the tools, I might try that. Sure. Yeah, why not?
Like I said, yeah, if you can find one that's cost effective, especially because you've got elbow problems, you said, by all means. Oh, Bannon, you got lots of hair problems. We ain't gonna speak of your hair problems.
Like a lack of hair? I mean, what's the problem?
Well, it's both a lack and an overabundance. We shouldn't really go further into it, I don't think.
When he takes off his shirt, is he wearing a sweater?
I don't know. I try not to be around when that happens. rumor has it that Sasquatch came by, said that he was taking his shtick. AliExpress. Yeah, I would not order that. I'm looking at paint shakers just for random things. Looks like the tattoo ink shakers are probably what you'd want, because it looks like they would work perfectly. And it seems like they actually go for not that bad. $35, $25. I mean, Wish.com I would probably not order from just because.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's an actual paint shaker. Jesus, that's way more than I would need.
Have a good night, Hinton. Thanks for hanging
Bye,
out
Hinton.
for a while.
Thanks for all the subs too.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
thank you so much for the gift subs.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like if you want a paint shaker, you can probably get one for about $80. It's not horrible. That seems like a good one. I mean, it's got good ratings on Amazon.
There you go.
So, I mean, I would probably do that also when we set up the airbrush station in the other room. I might do that too, just because then you got a whole other station set up. Because it's not going to be in my room. Airbrush in my room is not going to happen.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
We'll do it in another room, and so we can both have access to it. And that's on our plan.
So that tone.
I don't know if I'll ever get to airbrush,
I'm sure you will.
because that's downstairs.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
something
go
you
down
do on
there.
stream anyways, because it's
It's
loud.
Now, I know some people who do airbrush on stream, and it's not that bad. And it could be just the way that their mic is set up, the way their sound is set up.
Oh, yeah, you can set your mic to only pick up over that, and then you just gotta speak over it, which might be difficult with headphones on unless you got to. I mean, you can set it up easily to do that, but honestly, I'm one of those. It doesn't seem like something you'd want to do on a stream. I would never probably actually paint it. It'd probably just all base coats and boring shit on that, you know. Hey, I need this giant knight to be, you know, half blue and half brown. Let's fucking go.
Oh yeah.
And then you bring it over, and then you paint it, you know, with a brush afterwards. So.
Yeah, I definitely won't be doing airbrushing on stream. I don't. This room isn't set up for that sort of thing at all. I'd just be happy to. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, nah.
I've
Like those
got
fans.
the oil paint thing going, and actually, I returned to acrylics this last week, or the last 2 weeks, I guess, to work on these Reaper models and use my Reaper paints, because it was, you know, in honor of the Reaper virtual expo that was happening last weekend. And I couldn't believe how immediately comfortable I felt after spending 2.5 months painting with oils.
Well,
And
it's like falling off a bike. Once you do it, you never forget.
yeah, but the oils, because it's a brand new medium and I'm so unfamiliar with it, and they do work very differently than acrylics, you know, and people are always like, well, is it easy? Is it, you know, are they easier than acrylics? If you have painted with oil paints in the past, just as a 2D painter, then sure, it probably will be easier for you. But as somebody who had never ever used oil paints, it has been a challenge. And I feel like people need to know that if you've never ever had experience with oil paints, it's going to be a challenge. It's been fun for me. There have been frustrations, but every single time, every day that I've used them on these busts that I'm painting, I've learned so much. And I feel like when I return to them and I finish my busts project of the 8 busts that I'm working on, I'm going to have a handle on mainly how to use them. Now, do I think I would paint like 28, 30, 35 millimeter models with them. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I know Jim can do it no problem, but I don't know. I don't know that I could. We'll see. That's all in the future.
It's funny. I
But
feel the
you
same way
know,
you
I
feel about oils with assembly versus painting.
yeah.
You know, it's more comfortable. You know what you're doing more. You're less tentative about things.
Well,
Now, if you're finding acrylics just as, mystifying at because at a certain point when I was starting out, I didn't know what I was doing with acrylics either. And I had used acrylics in 2D painting, but I still, you know, I was using artist acrylics for my miniatures at the time, and that was not the right tool for the job. When they're making paints specially formulated to be used as miniature paints for acrylics, well, those actually work better, as it turns out. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh yeah,
There's
absolutely.
lots of people that are like, "Oh yes, I paint miniatures with artist acrylics all the time,"
Apple barrel paints,
or yeah, but
which
I
which are
remember when
fine
I
if
first
you
discovered
water.
a few Games Workshop paints and a few Reaper paints at the local game store, and I sat down to use those, and I had been looking at people posting stuff on Cool Mini or Not. That was, the forum where people would post pictures of their painted work, and you could, you know, rate it, you could vote on it and stuff. And there was some amazing work, and that's what I wanted to strive for, and I couldn't figure out how they were getting these really matte looking paint jobs because all I was using was artist acrylics, and mine were all glossy and shitty and lumpy. And
Oh, lumpy,
no
yes.
amount of thinning my paint could get rid of the 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 slickness of these artist acrylics that I was using. And that left brush strokes, which caused things to look uneven and glossy. And so when I discovered miniature paints, it was a revelation.
The light shine down from the heavens.
Yeah,
Ah. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm actually glad that when you saw Cool Mini or Not stuff, you were like inspired. When my ex-wife saw, she was painting some Eldar. She saw the Eldar books. Like, I can't paint like that. I'm not gonna fucking try to paint these anymore. And she put them aside. And I'm like, but you're supposed to be inspired to try and do something, not give the fuck up. But
Different
is what
people
it is.
react differently to seeing
Well,
beautiful paint jobs. Some people they just find it incredibly intimidating and feel like since they feel like they'll never get there, what's the point?
it's competitive nature. I see those amazing paint jobs, and I'm like, I will probably never get there, and I'm okay with that.
but damn,
I
that
will
looks
paint to the
cool.
best of my ability, and I will learn, and that looks amazing. But it's not going to intimidate me from painting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take tips from all those people too. Like, I have both of Angel Heraldez's books, even though they're probably way above what I will end up using. I will learn something from them.
Absolutely.
If anything, you look at pretty artwork.
I mean, yeah, it's like an art book just as miniatures, and it's got step by steps. I mean, I learned a lot even from the old GW books, and I loved when they started putting not just heavy metal paint jobs in there. That was one of the best ideas they made with one of those books. You know, they had one of the guys come in and just do this totally off the wall thing, and people were like, "What the hell is this doing in there?" I'm like, "It's a technique." Now you get to see it's not all fucking heavy metal painters and shit. I feel like that inspires people more than anything. Something achievable inspires a certain type of person that the quote unquote unachievable does not. But I've issues with that. I try and inspire anyone because honestly, you don't look at a Formula One driver and like, yeah, I'm going to be that. You're not just going to jump in and be that. You got to work. It takes time. This is artistry. You can't just
And
jump in and be the bomb diggity.
and the people that that I look at as inspiration right now are people who paint as a as a job. They put in their 40, 50, 60 hours a week painting. That's what they do. That's the only thing they do. And so of course they're good at it.
Yeah, I mean, I take it like so I'm doing an analogy. I watch this YouTube video of a guy restoring things. You may think that's just work. That's artistry to take something.
I love watching people restore paint jobs.
Well, not even paint jobs. This is restore like
Paintings.
metal tools and shit. They're not even painting.
I like
It's
watching people do the
artistry.
restoring the metal.
You don't expect to jump in and be at that level of artistry. You don't go. You're not supposed to go. I can do that right now. You're supposed to be. Wow, that takes time and dedication to do it. We have this problem as a culture of we want it immediately, want it now. Why can't I do it now? Why am I not the best? You know.
Yep.
Actually, reminds me of a scene I think from Young Sherlock Holmes, where he's trying to play the violin and he's like, "I've been playing it for 2 weeks. Why have I not mastered it yet?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Hey, dumbass." But anyways,
It really boggles the mind of people who want a formula for everything.
how do I make it perfect right away? You know,
Like everything is a math problem because math is perfect and beautiful, and you have a formula and there is a result and you always know what the result is going to be. You know?
There's
There's
right.
people that want art to be like that. They want painting to be like that, where you do this, and it
Yeah.
equals this.
streaming.
But it's
I know
not.
a lot of people have asked me about how did you do your stream? How did you get the viewers? How did you do this? And I says, well, this is what we did. And they give up in like 2 weeks. They're like, I couldn't get people to watch it and everything. I was like, we've been doing it for 4 years now.
Yep.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen overnight.
No, it's not
No,
easy.
and we're still learning things about streaming and Twitch and
Oh yeah, I've actually
social media and all that stuff.
one of the guys in the MechWarrior Online community does lessons, and he's like, "Hey, Johnny, if you're interested, hit me up." You know, they're very cost effective, and I might actually just take a lesson or two from him just to get some ideas that we can use for not just my Monday streams, but for all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But honestly, we have a good time. That's not what matters.
Yeah.
The true treasure was the friends we gained along the way.
Well, it's like somebody was like, why aren't you pushing for partner? 'Cause
We don't want
care.
partners.
Good Lord.
We don't
Respectfully, fuck Twitch.
I can't even imagine pushing for partners. That takes a
Yeah.
lot of work and dedication. And
It has to be your job.
yeah,
It has to.
and frankly, we're doing this
As a
for
hobby.
fun,
Yeah.
for the fun of it. We enjoy being, together apart. We enjoy talking, and we enjoy the people in the chat, and I enjoy painting. I'm a social painter, so it's been fantastic for me. I get more painting done because there are people to talk to, and when the chat replies back, that's like everything to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Like the chat's reminding us it's media time. We'll get there. Slow your roll, son.
You're late.
Right?
You're late.
It'll be okay. We'll just cut one of Gonzo's 73 things he watched out, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, because I only
If I got
watched
one
one
thing-
thing, and
Kathy's got one thing.
I played nerd games. So
Yeah.
We have to do another layer of, because I decided not to go with the really, really red rust. I wanted to go with like a duller,
And rest.
and go
Okay.
with like the Agrath Earthshade type.
No, it
brown.
looks. I actually like the way it looks. It's good.
Yeah, it's just a little bit different. And then of course I'll dry brush it because it's gonna have like a golden tint to it a bit, but I'm probably gonna do a second layer of that just to build up on that color. All right, I can switch over now. Yeah. Ow.
Ow.
Ow, yeah, my leg. No one told me to stretch, so my leg hurts.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have to tell you to stretch.
Probably.
All right, here. Let me get this for you.
Hey, old man. Stretch
Stretch.
every morning.
We're done.
Okay.
I think we're done here.
Media section, party time, excellent.
yes, Captain Mizzy is laughing. Captain Mizzy, I actually do get more painting done because of streaming.
Well,
Than I
remember,
did.
remember our upbringing in painting, so to speak, Kathy, is Battle Bunker, Hobby Table, everyone around chatting. That's the way we do it.
Yep.
That's the hardest thing about Hobby Streak is it's just me up here alone listening to music.
Yep. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Now I stream and it's like being at the bunker. It's like being at the paint bar. There's people that are, you know.
So you came in the store today to come chat with you.
Yep.
All right.
I have
Right.
3 things to talk about.
Only 3? God, it's just a little weak for you.
Yeah, well, I didn't watch a lot. I was trying to get a bunch of stuff done around the house. But
I didn't get a lot.
you have to also talk
I was
about
trying to stay sane.
RPGs. You have to actually talk about RPGs.
RPG thing, yeah. So several months ago, I don't remember how long, Atlas Games, who is the current publisher of Feng Shui, the role-playing game I used for Mediocre Trouble and the Big Easy, said, hey, if we make a subscription service where if we get so many people, we give you guys, you know, supplements every so often, and basically you just agreed to buy them, you know, carte blanche. Just, we got it done, here we charge you, go. I hadn't heard anything about it since actually subscribing, which was their second email, again, months and months and months ago. They just sent an email, and apparently it's all ahead go, because they have one module and source book just about done, and then the next 2 in the works. So that's really cool. I was surprised. And also pleased. It might be a new model, you know, for those lower tier, less known role-playing games. Subscription service where they just know, okay, if we got a book, we'll have X people buy the book, so we know it's worth it. So looking forward to getting those, even though we're not playing anything right now. But I just thought that was super cool.
RPG books. You buy RPG books just so you can read them. Not all the time are you going to use them.
Yeah. And you support the games you like because you want the games you like to stay around.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Which I'll be buying. Sorry.
What's that?
I said I'll be buying Von Richter's Guide to Ravenloft. Am I going to run a Ravenloft campaign anytime soon? No. But do I like Ravenloft? Yep.
Well, I mean, it's like if they put out a new Dragonlance source book, I mean, you know I'd buy it.
Oh, that's one of the things I'm talking about this week.
Even though it is probably the worst setting to try and run a game in.
You think so?
Yeah, everything's been done. The companions did everything. You can do lots of stuff, but you will never have done anything super amazing, at least in the War of the Lance, because it's already been done.
Yeah. Well, the thing is they did get you the rights back, and they're going to be writing and doing stuff. What they're going to do, we don't know yet. And what timeline, if they're going to make a new one, a reboot, we don't know.
I think they should release the books, and they should put some modules out or something. Those early modules were super cool.
Yeah, I think, because I had a coworker this last week said, hey, I just got done reading all the Lord of the Rings. I'm looking for another fantasy series, and I know you're the biggest nerdy geek around in this school, so what should I do? And of course, I sent her a list, and of course, the top of the list was the Dragonlance Chronicles.
Absolutely.
I'm like, here's 3 books. They're easy to read. They're fun to read. They're good.
They obviously take inspiration from, but are not cut in whole cloth from.
Correct.
The Lord of the Rings.
And I go, and if you like that world, here's 200 other books if you want to read them.
Oh, and as to Birdpunk, welcome. And yes, it is worse to run Dragonlance than Gamma World. Gamma World's an open world, so it's easier to do stuff. Dragonlance, you pretty much have to rewrite everything, which, if you have fans of Dragonlance playing, will become a stickler point. People like knowing what's going on in the world, I find. Yeah. So it is very difficult. But anyways.
I mean, the thing is it's the world is great. People get real picky on the history, going, "Oh, well, that couldn't happen. Raceland can't do that." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, guys, just go around. Let's just play in the world. We're gonna blank the history. Just play in this world."
Yeah, it's hard though. But anyways.
So that was that. So you got your subscription server, Kathy. Give us your one. You want me to go and then you go?
So actually, I was thinking I could talk about my Twitch media experiences as well this week.
Oh, shit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, sure.
because in addition to spending a little time playing Valheim, I did on Wednesday. I was on my friend Big Jim Slade's Big Jim Slade Gaming. Uh, once a month, approximately, he will do a questionable real estate stream, and we get together, a few of us in the Discord chat, and he will show the properties on his stream, and we will all just talk about them and we'll mock them. Really, we're just gonna be really judgmental and mock the shit out of these horrifying, questionable real estate things. So we did one of those on Wednesday night. It's always on a Wednesday night. But yeah, those are a lot of fun. Yeah, so Captain Mizzy and Acid Burn Punk have witnessed that. And then on this last Friday, I was again a guest at Nightheart Gaming on their Twitch channel, Nightheart Gaming, to play Dungeons and Dragons. And they're trying something different. It's an experiment. This was my second time doing it, which is like an improv, what do they call it? Blank slate. So you start with nothing, and the chat is basically the game master. And the person who is the game master on stream is the one who prompts the chat, and then who takes the ideas from the chat and filters that into the adventure, into creating the adventure. So the chat, we had the chat in a Zoom whiteboard thing to create the map of our world. They decided the theme of the adventure, and they decided it was going to be a swashbuckler adventure. So we were on a ship at the beginning. The chat decided a bunch of the different monsters and what was happening on the different land masses, these different islands. And they named the islands, and they named the monsters, and they named NPCs, and things got weird really fast,
I mean,
as you can imagine.
That happened.
And so this is our second time. So our second time of doing this, we could have had the same characters. One guy, his character had been killed, and I decided that I was gonna switch my character to be an old man, a la Stumpy from Rio Bravo. For anybody who's ever seen Rio Bravo, he's like this old man with a limp, and he's like the quintessential old man from westerns. He's got the bristly beard, and he talks like this, and so I spent the entire time just talking in my old man voice. And then the other guy had this old man wizard. So I'm a fighter. I'm this old man fighter, and he's this old man wizard. We just played off each other. And the one character is a fighter cavalier, and her mount is a walrus, and the walrus is the captain of our ship. Because why not?
Because why not?
And so this is our blank slate campaign for Nightheart Gaming, and it's a blast. It's been fun. And so of course we didn't completely resolve our campaign, so we have to do it again after GaryCon, because they're running some events, some RPG events for GaryCon Online.
Cool.
But those were my Twitch experiences this week.
That sounds like a good time.
So go ahead, Gonzo, and talk about one of yours.
Well, this one you can actually talk about with me. So I've been watching The Good Place, and I'm on season 3, like episode 9 or 10. And they were talking about the episode called Jeremy Bear Me. which is how the timeline works within the good place and the bad place. And I'm enjoying the series a lot more than I thought I would, because originally when I watched it, I was like, meh. But it's gotten much, much better. Janet is still my favorite character in the entire series. Janet is amazing. I love her to death. But this episode on Jeremy Bearimy had me laughing because, of course, this was quite a few years ago. 2000, I can't remember, at least 5 or 6 years ago, type thing when it was done. And Jeremy Bearimy, the character, I can't remember the character's name, the ditzy guy, Jason, I think is what his name is. He was like, I like, broadening my mind and doing things, and I like, having things named after me. And he goes, I had a flu where I kissed a bat. I created a new strain of flu by kissing a bat, and that happened. And I went, wait a minute, wait. I paused it and looked it up, and yeah, it was definitely way before the pandemic when this hit. But I was like, that was kind of weird and interesting to say on the show. But yeah, he kissed a bat and created a new flu pandemic within the timeline, and I just kind of laughed because on Stargate, watching one of the episodes this week, they had a pandemic episode also. And, I remember watching that previously and there was nothing about it, it didn't hit. But now you look back on it and you're like, ooh, what the fuck? Because it kind of hits different and hits, because you're living in it, right? Type thing now. So it was just interesting. But I'm going to say, I'm really liking The Good Place. Now it's almost over. I've only got like one more season to go or whatever, like 1.5 seasons, but it's definitely gotten better the longer it has gone on. There's some good humor in it, some good what the fuck moments, type thing. And I like it that it hasn't been static either. It hasn't been set in this one section. It's actually grown and blossomed out to something besides we're running the same plot line over and over and over and over and over. Because that's what I was worried about when I first saw it. I was like, how are they going to do this for 4 seasons? And
I really enjoyed the thread of actual philosophy that runs through the whole thing.
There is actually a lot of that. There's a lot of good questioning of moral fiber in this, that goes through the entire episodes or whatever. And it's just really interesting, about the way they take it, because they describe the different moral codes and give examples of it too. They're like, yeah, that would have been this. And, there's some, I would say, life lessons about having, being a good person in there. So, I'm liking it a whole lot more. When I get through the entire series, I'll give a final rating, but, it's been a lot better. So, John.
I watched Ford versus Ferrari, which is a movie I had intended to watch with my cousin in a theater, just never got around to it in 2019, and then things have been crazy since. So luckily it's on HBO Max for free if you have HBO Max, so that was cool. Ostensibly, it is just the tale of the 1996 Le Mans race in French, where basically Ford beat Ferrari. I mean, that's a historical fact. Anyone who knows the slightest thing about it knows that.
Yeah.
Really, it ends up being a bit deeper, more about Carroll Shelby, who was a legend of automotive racing and, car design. And then his driver, whose name escapes me right now, who's Carroll Shelby's played by Matt Damon, and then the driver is played by Christian Bale. And I'll be honest, both of their accents are very off-putting because they're not normal. They're very good. I don't have a problem with them. But it was very off-putting. You're like, wait, what? That's not right. And of course, there it is. Never named a ship. That's funny. Ken Miles is the racer, played by Christian Bale. And basically, the whole idea is that the Ford Motor Company is having hard times in the late, early 60s, I guess, at that point. And one of the guys' idea, Lee Iacocca's idea, since he's actually a name that you'd recognize probably, played by John Bernthal, who plays the Punisher, which is weird. But anyways, is to get a racing team and make Ford synonymous with winning. and put the name out there. Like a Ferrari. People hear Ferrari, like, oh, Ferrari. Ferraris are great sports cars. Those guys win races and shit. You get that sort of thing, especially back then. So they hire Carroll Shelby to build a car and go to Le Mans and win. And Ken Miles is just a guy who's worked with them. He's sort of down on his luck, veteran of World War II. Just a cool story of how they work together, what they do to win the race. Win the race, kind of. But very interesting. It's got great car scenes. It's got great overall scenes. Someone ban that fucker, please. I very much enjoyed it. It doesn't feel like it's 2.5 hours long, but it is. So I definitely suggest it. It's got great acting. Except Timothy. It's great car scenes, great overall drama scenes. I might strike it a little. I struck it a little bit in my overall rating. I rate things on Letterboxd too, just to keep track of it rather than having to have a spreadsheet. I can go on Letterboxd and see what I watched. I dinged it a little bit because a couple of things were very sort of cookie cutter see-through, and I can doubt that it actually happened that way. But overall, very well done, very good combination of drama and car racing. I mean, it could have just been a sports movie, but it actually is a bit more than that because the character interactions are interesting. So I hardly suggest it. I'm going to give it 0 space herpes. It's definitely worth a watch. If you're not a huge car person, you'll probably call it a 1. If you're a huge car person, it's definitely a 0. Check it out. I mean, great acting and just great story and historical story. Relatively accurate. Gonzo or Kathy?
I watched the movie and I was really surprised that it was on because it was on HBO Max also. I believe it was HBO Max, I'm pretty sure. And that was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh my god. I hate to say it, that's actually on my list.
Yeah, it is on there. This is, of course, the movie that everybody was going to ban unless they changed Sonic to look right. And the company, the people actually changed the entire Sonic look and made it look more, Sonic the Hedgehog.
It wasn't on HBO Max.
Not?
No.
I'd find out where it's at then and I'll let you know. So I sat down to watch it. I had no expectations, It was like, definitely the Sonic that they redid looks a whole lot better. I'm not going to lie. Of course,
the first one was Nightmare Fuel. The second one actually looks fine.
Yeah, second one looks fine.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, that's probably where I got it. And Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey in this. You can't go wrong with this Jim Carrey. He's over the top. He's silly. He's goofy.
And you're not.
I'm saying in this.
You feel like you sort of go wrong. That was the big thing stopping me from watching it is Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey.
It was good Jim Carrey. He was over the top, but it wasn't like, I mean, he's playing a character that really has hardly no story to begin with. And and it's a movie that has really no story to begin with.
A million Sonic fans just cried out in anger because they know the story of Dr. Robotnik.
Correct. But I mean, the average person doesn't know anything. And I don't even know. And I played all the Sonic games. But my thing is it has actually been, it was a good, fun ride. I actually enjoyed it. There wasn't anything that was like, stupid crazy. There wasn't anything that was outrageous. I mean, of course, there's going to be no physics. I mean, it's a hedgehog that runs at 300 plus miles per hour that use rings to gate around the world. Come on. I'm not worried about realism on this one. Is it going to win awards? No. Is it the perfect movie? No. Is it a good, fun popcorn flick? Yes. Did I feel like I wasted my time watching it? Not at all. The voice acting was great in it for Sonic. The special effects were great. Jim Carrey was good. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I give it a 1, if anything, because I mean, it's just, we didn't need a Sonic movie. There's no need for it. Plus a sequel coming up.
I mean, it did well. It is somehow the most successful video game adaptation.
Yes. Because there is like 2 after the credit scenes that set it up for a sequel, and I'm like, you could have just left it and it was fine. But I mean, it was not bad. I was pretty kind of happy with it. I was entertained. So like I
Cool.
says, I give it a 1. It was
Okay.
better than most things I've watched recently.
Successful. If you're entertained, that was already a success.
Yeah. So it had a few laughs and a few giggles and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely was nice. Anybody else got anything?
Kathy's still got her
I
bond.
do.
Go for it.
Yeah, I watched. Oh my
The
God,
world is not enough.
which one was it? The World Is Not Enough. I skipped over the one I was supposed to watch, and
I can't remember the title of right now, but
yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies.
that's it.
So I skipped over Tomorrow Never Dies and watched The World Is Not Enough. So of course that means next week I have to watch Tomorrow Never Dies. Of course.
Okay.
So
I think you need to start with the most horrible Bond pun ever. Was totally not worth the setup. Naming the character Christmas. So you could have the pun at the end. I thought Christmas only comes once a year.
Yeah.
yeah.
Fucking terrible. Yeah, see, Banyan has it. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Literally groan worthy. Oh, proceed. Sorry.
You know what though? That's getting back to the roots of the of James Bond right there, of the cheesiness of the movies, and they kind of gotten away from that a little bit.
I mean, not to mention the fact that what's her name is not a good cast for a nuclear scientist. Let's be honest.
I mean, well, yeah, as an actress, yeah, actress.
She's Denise Richards, yeah. She's or whatever her last name is. She's
It
not
was
bad
like
in
watching
something.
Laura
but-
Croft be the nuclear physicist,
Yeah,
and she was dressed like Laura Croft,
yeah.
minus
I
the gun.
remember.
So
I think actually, aside from that, the rest is actually pretty good. Like I thought it was a reasonably interesting story. Isn't it? I mean, John Cleese's Q taking over.
I enjoyed it. I was sad to see Desmond Llewellyn, but he had his escape route thing, and he left the show in a nice way. But I was sad to see him go after all those years of being Q. But
Yeah,
of course, I love John Cleese. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know if John Cleese did the best job, but he did a fine job. He was enjoyable to watch, and I think that's good enough. He's got the snarkiness down, but yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it feels darker, other than that, than a lot of the other Bond movies. Maybe
I don't
that's just
know.
my memory.
I don't know. I didn't think it was really any darker. I mean, certainly not as dark as the what's his face, Timothy Dalton ones. I'm
Fair
having
enough.
trouble with names today. I'm just having trouble.
Like me
with my
last
brain
week.
today.
Like me last week, I was having trouble remembering names and such.
Yeah. So dark like the Timothy Dalton ones. Maybe there were a few more serious moments, but yeah, I don't know that I would say it was any darker. I liked the submarine part. I thought that was interesting.
Mhm.
And it did cause me to wonder if, what people who actually worked on nuclear subs ever thought about that.
I'll ask one.
Because I do have friends that, have served on nuclear subs, and
It would be interesting to see their take on it. Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what I can say. It's another James Bond, and it was enjoyable, as they all have been, really.
I feel like when it came out, the overall response was enjoyable but forgettable.
Yeah. It's funny because I kind of feel like all the Pierce Brosnan ones are like that for me.
Except for Goldeneye, it feels that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is maybe why I forgot about Tomorrow Never Dies until after I had already started
But
world is not enough.
that's got such a good overall cast, though. They got a lot of names in that, and probably one of the most competent Bond girls ever. I mean, Michelle Yeoh. She's a fucking legend.
Oh yeah. So
But you've seen all these much more recently than I have, so you can make the final judgment on that.
Yeah. Well.
So what do
next
you give
week
it?
What do I give it? Probably the same thing I give all of them, I guess. Maybe 1 or 2. Space herpes.
I mean, it seems fair. I mean, I
They're
think Forgettable probably puts it into the 2 for me, but
yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, that is it for tonight. We appreciate you coming and joining the podcast. We will be live tomorrow with John streaming MechWarrior Online. And don't forget,
Yes.
Kathy, Tuesday through Thursday, we'll be doing her painting. And on Friday, we'll be reading. Also, on Tuesday, if she meets her goal, she will have to read from The Mouth of Madness. So make sure you check on that challenge. Other than that,
make sure you drop by every day to throw your channel points at
John's.
whatever things you want to go for, not John's.
John's challenge, just throw it to John. He needs it more than I do right now. But we are actually going to send y'all to the Pyro Club because they're doing their episode right now, which we always do. Make sure when you go over there, send them a hi, send a bunch of raid emotes, give a dance, give a follow, give a listen. Great group of people. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy.
Good night.
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 Ladies and gentlemen.
Raid!
Right.
All I hear is those commercials.
Right.
Exactly.
John's gonna
Anyway,
hit it.
bye.
And raid. Oh, they just went back. They took their break.
That's what this emote is for.
That's what I get a lull for.